Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And today we're going to talk about purification and discipline in becoming a wizard or a channel, like a psychic, whatever like spiritual ability you want to develop. Um, we don't really People don't really sit down and have the actual discussion of it's a lifestyle. It's not so much like people got really into techniques. They go, yoga is not a religion, it's a technique. It's a technique. You do these formulas, these poses, these breathing exercises. It's a technology and you become enlightened. And it's like, yes, but but it's so much more. So in yoga, there's 8 branches of yoga. And I think I forget them all, but there's Yana Yoga, Raja Yoga, um, and Hatha Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and a few others. But, anyways, it doesn't matter. So, when you actually learn yoga, the mystic arts of the East, you have to eventually practice all 8 limbs. And Westerners leave magic out, even though yoga is part of a magical system. You know, it gets presented to us as a path towards enlightenment, a path towards health. We've kind of like polarized it. You know, no one tells you it's actually a path of occult knowledge. Um, and really, that's kind of what it's about. Why meditate? Why become enlightened if you're not going to then acquire occult powers and use them? So people get hung up. So we have Western magic for the mind of the Westerner. And it seems like people are like, oh, the word discipline sounds like a punishment. Go to your room and stay there, or be quiet, fold your arms, and pray to God. You know, it's like work that you're not getting paid for, or it's a punishment. But discipline is developing a skill. And there's so many levels of discipline, so many levels of skill. Also, when I think discipline, I think the ability to be in self control, which would be the yoga aspect. And so, wizards, because it's very much the power of the word and the power of the mind, the power of focus and concentration and knowledge, you gotta kind of have some self control. And so your life becomes rearranged and structured in such a way that when you go to do your magic, it's going to work, it's going to be better. So there is no time off for wizards. It's a disciplined lifestyle. There's structure to it. There's this direction. So you can basically uh, stop watching this video if you're like, I don't really know what I want out of magic. I don't really know what I would do with all my wizarding powers. Like, I don't know my goal. I don't know my purpose in life. So, why am I even starting this journey? You know? And so, you don't really have to stop watching this video, but you sure can. You can be like, okay, I don't think wizarding is something it's a full time lifestyle. And then the work, the practice, and then performing every once in a while and getting your results. Well, that just happens. So it's a lifestyle choice. You got to know kind of what you hope to gain. And Maybe there's a simpler way to gain those things. Go take some psychology if you want to balance your mind. If you want to have control over other people, control yourself. You know, if you want more money, go work a job or find other ways to get money. Magic may not be the most practical way, or the use of magic in the acquiring certain objectives isn't the aim of magic. So I think a truer aim of magic would be, I would like to know more about what's on the other side after life. What's the other world like? Or, I mean, that's one of my big aims. It's like, for some reason, I'm very obsessed with life after death, or just, is there more? And not in a scientific way. So, a magical discipline, I'm going to have to acquire psychic abilities. I'm going to have to learn to astral project. I'm going to have to learn a lot of things that magic seems to be perfectly structured for, to create the discipline of mind, body, and spirit. So I don't want to be a Christian. I don't want to be a traditional Buddhist. I don't want some organized thing. I want to go to the unknown and do very well there. So you could call that evolution. You could call that, being an explorer. So life after death is a big one. And so that would include spirit contact, entities, deities, aliens, whatever, things that aren't bound to the physical reality of going through life, death, and possibly rebirth. Uh, so obviously there's going to have to be some psychic development going on. And so magical psychic development. So let's move on a little bit. Maybe I'll grab my notes, see where we're going. So yes, purpose definitely guides you, because it becomes like your reason why. Once you know your reason why, it's easier to do things. It's easier to stay focused. You don't just go, time to watch Netflix, or, oh, well, my friends are really entertaining, or I had to get lost in the project of fixing my family. And so the mundane world, in a weird way, there is a stage in your development where it's toxic until you're able to adventure into the next dimension, you know, open the veil, whatever you want to call it. You have to learn to cut yourself off and go into monk mode. And so you're going to have taboos, things that would be offensive to your development. You're going to have evils. Those evils would be anything counterproductive, anything that would stand as an obstacle towards your development. And through practice, failing, overindulgence, getting caught into the matrix, getting caught into your family affairs, maybe your partner's affairs, whatever it is, all the dramas, you're going to receive the consequences. So a good example is if I start really like listening to music and binge watching on my cell phone YouTube content or watching movies, my psychic abilities like shut down. What's going on? My five senses are being overloaded, and all my attention and awareness is going towards my five senses. So it's reversing the flow of intention and energy and consciousness instead of directing it towards my inner vision, my inner senses, my inner world, my inner temple, my inner life. And so you have to take a fast. You have to monitor that. You have to control yourself. And so when all your energy is outward focused, and that becomes so important, you lose abilities. At least And I can only say that for myself. I can say, okay, if I pour all my energy into the world, hustling, trying to, get a big house and a car and all this stuff, there's no time, no more energy left for lucid dreaming, astral projection, magical rituals, self development. And then I died in a really funny way, or it gets all taken away. Well, that was a huge waste of a life. So imagine if you didn't keep abandoning yourself, your purpose, your big reason why you want to do magic, and instead you integrated it into your daily life. You would think, as it's sold in books, you're gonna what? Do a spell a day, light a candle, do a ritual, cast a circle. Oh, well, that's a lot. That's a lot of ritual work, but you gotta develop your backbone. You need your strength. You need your willpower. You need a clear mind. You need a clear heart. You need these boundaries that act as your cape and your cloak and your hat. You know, you need to develop your awareness, your senses, your self control. And so you kind of see like your daily life as an obstacle course and a strengthening tool that, makes you stronger. Everything is geared to make you wiser. Every foolish action becomes a great lesson, an opportunity. And so as you get out of victim mode and you say, oh, everything is designed to train me into the most powerful wizard. So that's how you integrate your daily life into the whole experience. But every once in a while, you need to go into monk mode, and and you also will have certain things that you need to avoid. For some people, it's like too much sex, or too much drinking, or too much socializing, too much caring for your parents, too much caring for other people. That can that might be the thing that takes you away from your goal. And so you're going to have to learn to say no, distance yourself, get stoic, go sigma on the world. And so I just pretty much I'm telling you, on my journey in magic, what served me the best is isolation. What served me the best is going on walks by myself, being in nature by myself, um, learning to clear my mind, learning to turn off the world. It was really refreshing and healing. But then it opens up the channel. You get to go into universe B, or the inner world. You get to spend more time there and balance it out. We're so outer world focused, we forget we have a whole inner world with an inner life. And eventually, we might return to the inner world. That might be the place we go to when we die. That might be the place where magic happens. But if you're not spending your time there, you're just reading books and focused outwardly, and you're doing magical things of service outwardly, you may not be very well versed inwardly. So you're not very strong. You're pretty immature on the inner plane. So it's a set of values. So why did I leave my guru? Because she was breaking a lot of my wizarding rules, a lot of my taboos, things that take me off course from the main goal. So in a weird way, she became an enemy. She had a hedonistic side. I did not. Because it goes down to this core belief that the more time and energy you put into the physical world, during this phase of development. See, she was already developed strongly with her psychic gifts. So, she's like an A student, top of the line, just born with it, natural born psychic. Um, so that wasn't her concern. So we have to look at our paths. So being in the world balanced her, became an anchor of sanity, maybe, because she's so strong in the other dimension. For me, my path is different. It's like, no, we need to reopen these doors that were slammed closed through religion and society. And God forbid everyone was thinking I was evil because I wanted to learn the inner arts of magic. Wanted to use my imagination, wanted to be an artist, wanted to be creative, wanted to be myself. God forbid. So the indoctrination, the programming, and the was pretty heavy. So at a certain stage, you need to spend time with yourself, clear out the closets, open up your mind, let go of your history. Kind of the psychology stuff, but in a weird way. Psychology is a watered down version of solitary experience, spending time alone, you know, being with yourself and removing all the thoughts that aren't you, all the memories that aren't you, all the people that aren't you, all the beliefs that you think you are that aren't you, clear it all away until the only thing remaining is what is, so it's kind of zen. So it's monk mode for sure. It's like if you're trying to learn meditation, maybe going out in the busy streets is not the place to do it. Maybe first you should go to a tranquil monastery in a beautiful garden and have an experience of that first, so you kind of get an idea of what it's like. Then you can build up your strength, leave the monastery, go out into the world. Then you can. So I love that saying. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. That's the build up phase. That's the discipline, strengthening phase, preparation. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. That's the integrative phase. And that's also the strengthening phase. And then you realize you are always enlightened and you'll always be enlightened. You're just now so worth it. You go about your life integrated. So you've merged your inner and outer experience, your monk mode. You can stay in monk mode, but then also have a life too. So for some of you, I would say majority, you're going to have to learn how to not have an outer life and strengthen your inner life. And then once you've done that, you might have to learn to lose it. So you have enough contrast to go, that was valuable. I want those powers back. I want that clear vision back. I want that clarity I had with my guide back. So, and I know what I need to cut away. I can reverse engineer this now. Okay, now I'm back. Now I can integrate. So then it'll be an integration process because you have the power. You've tasted it. You know what it's all about. So it's a lot different. So you see, once you've got the Holy Grail, once you are psychically open, spiritually open, and have enough magical experience under your belt, it becomes a part of you. It's on command. Yeah, you're fluent in it. So then you can go and take bigger risks, hang out in the mortal world longer. Again, because you got the roadmap. You can get yourself back to good again. But if you don't know how to get yourself back to good again, or even how to get to good, you're going to have to go through the discipline process, the strengthening, the development, discipline and acquiring the skills and the knowledge part. But once that's down, the rules kind of change a bit. But uh, you still have to maintain those rules. So, one of my rules is God has no form. And the form I'm allowed to actually create God in would be a basic geometrical shape, like a circle or a square or a triangle, you know? And this is to help me not get delusional in glamorous images of angels and beautiful faces. Another word, or so that would be the value. So you know why you're doing this. It's to not be fooled when some shape shifting entity, friend or foe you're dealing with, you're like, you can see things clearer if you don't learn to take things not at face value, if you're not glamored by the presentation that whatever it is showing up as. So appearances are very deceiving. Inner appearances are very deceiving. So remove them. Don't value the appearance of things so much that it becomes a hindrance to that knowledge that you're seeking. Another one is no refined products. That would include pharmaceuticals, that would include alcohol, that would include extremely processed foods like noodles. Uh, and so, and there's flexibility with this rule. It's like, no, none ever. Gosh. It's like, no, you can have it when you need it. But really become conscious that if it's handled by humans who are only of the intelligence level of a human or subhuman, chances are it's not good for you. And what nature made is probably easier for your body to handle. So it's less chances of toxicity, less chances of DNA degradation. You got to have good DNA if you want to be channeling high powered things. So when we think man made and highly processed, the next one is limited speech. What? God doesn't speak English. I doubt the angels speak English. Therefore, English is something that humans invented. And if I'm dealing with a higher being, English, it's not going to come in the form of English. So if I'm going to have a telepathic conversation and it's being translated back to me in English, there might be some deception going on. It could be self-delusional. So in order to eliminate that, eliminate English as your first language. So you're kind of eliminating a lot of, because there's deeper meanings into all that. There's deeper levels into all this. But really, that means the voice in your head talking to you in English isn't your voice. Then they're not your thoughts. So that goes to Zen really fast. That might even wake you up out of the matrix just by observing that taboo. So heavy gossip, foul language, words with harm, words with ill intent. As I look around and observe things, the only people doing a whole bunch of cursing aren't witches and wizards in circles and sacrificing babies and weird stuff. No, they're everyday people mad at the other person saying, oh, I wish so and so would die. They're jealous. They're envious. They don't like them. It's words fall out of people's mouths and they're so trashy. I'm like, if you want to learn the words of power, but you're speaking trashy language, everyday, mundane, human language, muggle language, chances are that when you go to speak magical language, your tone, your eloquence, your common tongue will ruin it for you. Well, I never thought about that. Yeah, I have never encountered a demon with foul language. I've never encountered an angel with foul language or another being. In fact, a lot of my telepathic conversations and encounters have nothing to do with conversation. It's just like an instant knowing, an instant download of information. And so it's learning to understand how your own mind works, how you can be having an encounter with an entity, but your own mind will project a form to look at, and it will give it words of meaning. It will translate it, it will decode the energy into a holographic experience. Is that valid? Yes. But then at the exact same time, it's self generated, it's a holographic experience. So, anyways, so don't get glamorized. So, part of the discipline is learning how to not be insane. And that would be by understanding the mirror like nature of reality and the glamour of the second sphere in the tree of life. So, these disciplines go deeper than just purification, than being holy. It goes towards you're trying to create a scientifically neutral space to have your experience or experiment, uh, and get and have it as real as possible without all these other interferences interrupting the space where you're doing your experience. Okay, let's just okay, we've speech, music. Music is a big one for me. Music that has lyrics. When you really think about the lyrics, I recently I've just love music was great when I was practicing being more loving and whatever, but now it's becoming a hindrance. So there is such thing as too much of a good thing, where but once again the lyrics are in English, they're in a language that was created by humankind. That's all programming. Words activate the ego, the lower self, the character on stage, the physical brain, designed to navigate. It's all working with your avatar, stimulating your avatar. That's the opposite of what needs to happen sometimes. Sometimes the avatar needs a break. The brain needs to shut down and go into rest mode. We need to regenerate. So more words is activating the wrong part of my brain. So music without words, great. So as much as you speak, stay silent, balance. So there's balance is what we're going for, overall balance. And this is how you don't get too crazy and fanatical and paranoid and weird with your magic. Think of balance, okay? So another big one for development of psychic powers is real intuition transcends the thinking mind. It's like not linear. It's gone beyond linear. Um, so thinking linearly, analyzing things, looking for facts, trying to bring things down into the 3D realm, into the Muggle universe, isn't going to help you when you're transcending it, when you're getting information in new ways without your five senses. So, uh, you know, you're going to get it through a new mode, but you're so used to thinking you're going to get it inwardly through your inner five senses that once again, you might be getting glamored. It would almost be better to just have it drop into your mind and to you just know. and get really good at receiving that information, those information packets dropping into you, it's your own mind that will open that up for you into information that your avatar can understand. It's going to do create a glamour on the mirror of space. It's going to give you an image, it's going to give you thoughts, words, it's going to give you sound, it's going to be a holographic experience. And that was the reinterpretation or the unpacking of that information that you got. You stay pretty sober and sane, pretty rational, practical, and grounded, and you start really understanding that process. Um, and so basically, anything that's not taking you towards clarity, not taking you towards your why, becomes your new evil. So becomes profane. It becomes unholy. It has nothing to do with religion, it has nothing to do with evil, and but it's now become that because your goal is to clear out the channel. Your goal is to put your energy and your awareness into the other realm and gain experience. And so it's almost like you have two selves and you can operate both of them. And together you make magic. And so that's a lot of work. uh, and then you will be acquiring mystic powers. You know, you will. And there was really no ritual required. There was no heavy reading. There was no light reading. You know, you're not finding it in a grimoire. You're not finding it in someone else's class. It's not labeled as a certain thing. It's just self discipline. And kind of going into monk mode creates that for you. Uh, so, your list of rules of the wizard, your vows, your oaths, your taboos will be different than mine. You're like Onyx. I can watch TV all day and my third eye stays open. I'm like, great, that works for you. But you talking like, what can I do? Me going on nature walks. I can go on nature walks on a busy street, streets around me. Like, I can walk through the city and still have fifth dimensional experiences. Maybe you can't. Maybe you have to do those in isolation, or maybe you need drugs for those. I don't. Drugs aren't required for me to have fifth dimensional experiences. Uh, so you have your strengths, I have mine, and your strengths can turn into weaknesses. It's like